Hey, what's up, and welcome to this episode of 49 Faithfully. We're your hosts, Miriah Lee and Teran Lewis. TL, what's going on?
Nothing much. I think I'm just happy to hear that you're feeling better.
Yeah, it's been a rough week.
Hmm.
That's why we're a day late on our show this week because I couldn't roll out of bed yesterday to get over here to the computer to do the show. So today, as this is my first time I've been out of bed since Sunday.
It's crazy.
I left work early Sunday and I was been in bed ever since. So I'll
So
try
how
my
does your how
best
does
to
your work do
get
it?
through this.
Do you have sick leave with your job, or do they take your PTO, or like how does that work if you're sick for
You
too many days?
you have the option if you want to take it not paid or you have to use PTO.
Oh, you do. Oh, so you guys don't have
Yeah.
like 6 hours or nothing like that.
No.
Oh,
They want to give us PTO. What do you mean?
oh, the casino industry. Gotta
Yeah.
love them.
um so before we get into this Seattle fiasco, I wanted to touch on a couple things. Um Demarius Thomas, most well known for playing for the Broncos, number 88, passed away last night. So we want to send our condolences out to his family, to his friends. I know Peachy said that her son is cousins with him, so
Oh,
that
wow.
personally affects people we know. So
Wow.
prayers up, good vibes out to everybody affected by that. That's horrible news.
Yeah, that's too bad. He'll always for me personally, I've always heard he was a good guy off the field, but on the field, what I'm gonna remember him by, majority of us, is him making that long touchdown pass in overtime from Tebow.
Yep.
Like that was just amazing. Like it was awesome. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. He seems like he was a great guy. Everybody was sharing their pictures, today and yesterday, and every single picture the guy has a smile on his face.
Oh, for sure. I just want to, for to everybody who's out there, I know we come on here and we talk football and stuff like that, but you know what? Life is short, man. Go out there and live your life to the fullest, make yourself happy, in a respectful way. Just go out there and just do you, man. I mean, the man was 33. I mean, he's almost 10 years younger than me. So I can't even imagine just thinking about that. And yeah, like hold your loved ones tight, get rid of any grudges you have. Like, this is real life stuff here. So yeah, it's some sad stuff.
Yep, I completely agree. Kind of staying, not obviously as bad as that, but we started the Seattle game off with a horrible situation. Trenton Cannon went down on the first play. They had to have an ambulance come out and get him, and he ended up having to stay the night at the hospital in Seattle that night. Thankfully, he had a concussion, but checked out of everything else okay. So prayers out to him, and we hope that he, gets well and everything is on the up and up for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad. Like when it first happened, I was sitting there and sitting on my recliner, and I was like speeches. I was like, man, the first thing in my mind was that linebacker for Pittsburgh Steelers, Ryan Shazier or whatever his name is,
Yep.
or yeah, and I was just like, man, like, and then he laid there so long and without moving. I was like, this is not good. Like, and it just sucks because I'm sure Hafungo felt so bad. Like I'm sure Hafungo was on the sidelines, like, oh my god, like mine the reason why this man is laid out on this field. I'm glad that we got past Trenton Cannon's important part, and yeah, the fact was going on the stretch, he put up his thumbs, so it shows that he had of his extremities. So, but I was still worried about waist down. You know what I mean? Because he moved his stuff. But I was like, hope he's okay. But yeah, everything out good except for a concussion. That's the new.
Right. Is that my internet or your internet?
What do you mean?
You're choppy to me, but I don't know if it's because my
It
internet's
could
being
it could
crappy
well
or.
it could be because my kids keep walking by too, and,
Oh,
and this microphone is real sensitive. So
okay. Um, Yeah, I mean, we're used to obviously, most serious injuries, they bring the cart out, and to see that ambulance come out onto the field, it was just, your mind's racing 100 different ways, of things that could possibly be wrong with him, and you're just, of course, hoping for the best. And I think and obviously he got pretty lucky in that situation.
yeah, absolutely.
Also, I wanted to, give a shout out to Eric Armstead. He is nominated for Walton Payton Man of the Year again. This is his second year in a row. So, congrats to Eric because these so many times it's people forget about what these players and the impact that they have on the community and things that they do. And now we obviously have the Raiders here in Vegas now, so it's like we see that firsthand that the players are out there, what they do for the community. So I know Eric has a huge part in helping with the kids and working in his community and everything. So congrats to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally concur with everything you just said, and yeah, I totally agree. As much stuff as I sometimes I give crap for Eric on the field, like he's an amazing guy off the field, which is more important. So yeah, I understand. And then I don't know the extent of it, but I saw Kyle Juszczyk, that he was nominated for something too. Like it was something that wasn't the Pro Bowl, something like that. It was something that had to do with like Man of the Year or something like that. I'll bring it up during our next show. But yeah, he I just goes to show you, like we have some good guys on the team. Callie, I don't agree, but
I'm sure that's why he put that because
I'm sure. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Um, so yeah, Seattle, I think, turned out how we thought it was going to turn out,
Yep.
and probably a little bit worse than I was thinking that it was going to turn out. It was pretty much a shit show from the first play after the Trenton Cannon incident and him getting taken off to the next, the fake punt that Seattle pulled and scores for a touchdown, and from there on out, it was a mess. Um, your thoughts on Seattle?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like it was just bad karma from the beginning. I'm sitting there, like you said, the Trenton Cannon injury, and then we have the 78, 75 yard, um, fake punt, and I was just like, oh my god, it's gonna be a long day. Like I just felt it. And yeah, for the most part, Kyle, I feel like he called a good game. A lot of people were like, "Well, he should have ran the ball more," but I think it was just the game flow. Like they were stopping our run pretty well, and I don't think he put. I think he was putting Jimmy in good position to win this game for us. But as we know, as everybody always says, that at one point he's going to make friends with the linebacker, and that happened. Happened with with our wag. You and I both predicted loss. But it was a little bit more high score than I thought. I think I predicted like 21-17. We on these games. And I feel like you and I, you know what? I'm going to toot our horn a little bit. You and I feel like, and I'm not, any other podcast, but I feel like you and I most realistic predictions. I feel like a lot of people choose the Niners to win because it's the good thing to do, right? Like, oh, well, the Niners are going to win. I mean, do you really believe that time? And no, it's okay to pick against your team. We're out here to be real here. We're out here to give our takes and understand what we know is going on. So kudos to you, Miriah. I don't feel like you never hold back. You're just like, this is what I think is going to happen. So yeah. Yeah. And then I've heard so many people, on these spaces on Twitter. Well, I blame the defense. Like, if you're blaming the defense, what game were you watching? The defense did his job.
Right.
Two goal line stops. And I hear somebody say, yeah, but look at the probability that we had to score a touchdown. We're on the 90-yard. The offense is paid to score points. The defense is paid to make stops. That's what they did. They gave you two line stances where they turned the ball over. We couldn't execute. As a matter of fact, we scored 0 points in the second half, and we didn't get past the 50-yard line until that last drive. Don't tell me it was the defense's fault. I'm sorry. And if so, and then the interceptions that put us in short field, he probably Wagner around the 30-yard line, so that was a short field for him. And then he threw it to Quandre Diggs a little bit past the 50, but then he returned it a good 20, 30 yards. You put the
Right.
Seahawks in great position, and then you have Travis Benjamin who fumbled, but good thing they didn't score. So yeah, this of the defense and play well. I feel like D'Amico Ryans gets so much crap sometimes, and then we had a safety that had 2 points. So yeah, I mean, we didn't play the best game. It's just one of those things where it's a division game. Whether Seahawks are 1-9 or 9-1, they play us tough no matter what. I agree, Callie. But yeah, so the Seahawks just have our number. We have the Rams number. The Seahawks have our number. It's just the way it is. It's just a divisional team that gives us fits. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, I mean, and Pete Carroll, he comes with it. He's in his bag when he plays us. He
Yeah.
wants to beat us. It's like his Super Bowl. Like, well, we suck right now. I have a chance to play spoiler a bit to knock the Niners out of the playoffs. So hey, I mean, I'm gonna do what I need to do. So, and no team really executed that properly. It's just I feel like the Seahawks just capitalized on our mistakes and we didn't capitalize on theirs. So
Right. I feel like the Seahawks did everything they possibly could to give us that win. You have their tight end giving us the ball every time that he can, like they played horrible as well. And the 49ers just they couldn't do anything. It's like they had to keep, one upping them. It's like a turnover. Oh nope, we're gonna have a turnover. Nope, you guys can't have the last one. We're gonna do the last stupid play. It's like back
yeah,
and forth. It was a crazy game, and it's funny you say that about the defense because I actually put on my notes that how we always talk about all three parts have to show up, and I actually feel like the defense is the only one out of the three that did show up. Special
absolutely.
teams was a freaking disaster, um, and the offense, yeah, Jimmy turning the ball over, you're not going to win games like that. The only reason that we stayed in that game was because of the defense.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, we talked about it going into the week that you can't, keep a game like that so close and have all those mistakes when you have Russell Wilson as quarterback. And,
Hmm.
and like you said, they always play us tough. We knew that going into this game, and I feel like everybody I heard still is taking, oh, the 49ers are going to win. Oh, no, Seahawks are playing terrible. Seahawks are playing terrible. That's all I heard all week.
Same here. Yeah.
And it's like, I'll never understand going into Seattle and just thinking that we're going to walk away with a win so easily.
Yeah, I think people saw the record like, oh, they're 3-8, whatever the case may be. There's no way we can lose to this horrible team. I was like, it's the Seahawks. I don't care what the situation is. But yeah, I heard the same thing. And then, so just let this sink in. The Seahawks have 4 wins and 2 of them are us. So that just goes to show you that they have our number.
Yeah, touching on special teams, Callie wants to know what you think of Hightower, that he's fed up with him.
Too many miscues. I feel like he doesn't. I feel like the special teams makes way too many mistakes. He allowed that. He allowed that return against the Vikings. The Vikings, and then back to back weeks, the special team has had some miscues, and I feel like up to this point he's played fairly well, but I feel like he's starting to get exposed a little bit. As a special teams coach, but it comes down to it. So I was doing some research on Hightower, him and Kyle together at Texas
Yeah.
for the Longhorns. So I hope. I mean, I hate to say that he needs to be fired because I know the man has a family and stuff like that. But at the same time, he puts us in terrible positions sometimes. I mean, I don't think I can blame him for not having a solid returner because that's just something I feel like the 49ers haven't had a good returner since Ted Ginn. Like I feel like we're the worst in the NFL when it comes to special teams, when it comes to having somebody explosive to get us in good field position and stuff like that. So, yeah, as far as Hightower, I don't know. I think he needs to be. I know his position should be examined for sure. Like when the season's over, I think he has 5 games to kind of fix some stuff. But yeah, if we see some more issues where, like they're returning stuff on us and stuff like that, he needs to be let go. Especially if it's because of special teams that like we missed the playoffs. Like if that's the case, then yeah, I think he probably should be let go. But that's my opinion on that. What about you?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, again, Kyle's friend. It's like, would he still have this job this season after the results that he's had the past few years if he wasn't Kyle's
Hmm.
buddy?
Yeah.
It's like special teams has continued to be an issue year in and year out since Kyle's been there.
Hmm.
And it's like, yet you're keeping your friend there, you know? I do like that he did come out in his presser and say, that it was his fault. Um, that's something that we've been looking, for Kyle to say for how long, and he can't.
Yeah, for
So it
sure.
was nice for somebody else to get up there and say it. He took blame for everything, that his players, there was nothing they could have done, yada yada yada. Whether that's the case, whatever. But
Yeah.
um, I do think that, yeah, he should be under a microscope right now, and if he doesn't turn this year around in these last, handful of games, he definitely should.
Be
I don't know.
dismissed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
it's
don't
one of
want to
those
call
things
for
too.
him to lose his job,
Yeah, yeah. I
but
mean,
I
I don't.
think they definitely should be start looking for a replacement.
Yeah, looking for a replacement, or like I said, at the end of the year, sit all the coaches down, like special teams coach, whatever the case may be. Like, what is your vision for 2022? What do you need to improve? What needs to go on? Because I feel like he's done a serviceable job, but I don't think it's been horrible. But I agree. Like, what I don't agree with is Kyle playing this buddy ball all the time. I'm gonna get the guys who were my friends in college and who I had 10 years ago at Cleveland. Like sometimes you gotta let that stuff go, man. Like I understand, you want people who understand your system and stuff like that, and I respect that. But at some point, you need to let go of the chains and be like, dude, oh man, like or not even bring those kind of guys in. So, yeah, I agree with you.
It kind of makes me wonder, is it because it's somebody that knows the system and that, that's familiar, or is it because Kyle has those people in there that he knows won't stand up to him and won't question anything that he does, won't, put up a fuss about anything, give him the final word. We have an offensive coordinator that sits up there and says, why would I take over play calling when we have the greatest play caller? We have the best, we have the king himself, like, is it
Yeah,
is it because what's the reason that Kyle really keeps these people in there?
yeah. Who knows? And that's a great point. But I ain't gonna lie. Kyle hit me up and say, "Hey, you and I were boys in high school, and you're pretty good with offense. I'm going to pay you a $500,000 a year to sit up in the skybox and not have to do anything. I'm taking that all day." So, yeah, I don't know. It could be one of those things. Yeah, you're right. It could be just one of those like yes men that okay, well, I'm going to get a job with Kyle. I can have my say so here and there, but I'm okay with giving him no decision. So, yeah, that could be another possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. Some things are questionable about Kyle this year. Something that was questionable, um, on that 4th and 1 play, we have Kittle on the sideline during it. They asked Kyle about it, why Kittle was on the sideline when we're going for a 4-1, and he says, that's basically this. That's what the scheme called for. Whatever, the best players for what they were running were on the field. How, how is it possible that the best players for whatever the hell you were planning on running are on the field when George Kittle is standing on the sideline?
Yeah, that's some foolish. I don't understand that play at all. Even if he wasn't the receiver on that play or whatever, he's one of the best blockers on your team. So
Exactly.
why is it that you had George Kittle off the field? Yeah, there was some. I mean, I've been giving Kyle props ever since the Colts game because I feel like that's when he started actually calling some good plays where I seen people schemed open. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock him on these bad, but there's just some things that very are questionable. Like, dude, you got to have. I don't care what the situation is, unless it's special teams, like like if like of an extra point, something like that. I can understand the lineups and all this other stuff, but when it's an offensive play, when it's 4th and 1, your best 11 should be on the field at all times, especially with your tight end being one of the best blocking tight ends in football. That made no sense to me.
Yeah. Um, Also, in this game, we lost E-Man, which we've talked about, week in and week out, how he's, been the difference back there at corner. He's been the only one that can hold it down back there. And we're going into this week now without him. And that takes a big hit to that already thin position back there. Um, we have a huge out of out of service list already this week. How do you think that that's going to end up? How do you think that affected the end of that Seattle game?
Oh,
first of all.
it affected him big time because he was covering well all game, and as soon as he got out, that side got picked on. They were picking on Dante Johnson. It's funny too because somebody tweeted me. He was just like, "Man, take Dante Johnson. I mean, I'm sorry, take Josh Norman off of DK Metcalf. He can't cover him, and then he ends up giving a touchdown to Tyler Lockett anyway. I'm like, he can't coach. I was like, he can't cover neither one of them, bro. So it didn't matter. But yeah, I think it affected the game big time. But what I don't like about what they do in situations like that, like after that happened, they put Demo in. Delmer Lenore gets in. He makes like two mistakes and he gets yanked.
Yep.
Like, stop doing that to these young guys. Like, roll with it. Like, okay, you know what? You're starting the rest of the game. Then that you give him some confidence. But just because he gave up a slant touchdown and whatever the case may be, and then you pull him, like, you can't be doing that. And then I get it, cause so I at the same time they're like, okay, well, he made too many mistakes, so I'm gonna pull him. Okay, well, fine. But then you bring Dante Johnson in, and then he gets the same. He does the same thing. He does a stupid helmet to helmet play when the play's pretty much over and gets us a penalty. I'm like, these are the stuff we're talking about, And it doesn't just affect the quarterback position. Like we always say, if you're gonna get mistakes at the quarterback position, the same. If you're gonna get the rookie mistakes from an 8-year veteran at quarterback, let's do it with the rookie. Same thing with any other position. Let's do it at corner too. If our corners are having the miscues of rookies, we might as well just put the rookies in. At least you give them the reps. But yeah, and Callie's right. Dante Johnson, he's questionable because he's out for a personal reason.
Right.
And then what? And then so the last thing about that position, what bugged me is somebody asked Kyle on a presser, "Oh, are we going to see?" And I know Kyle doesn't like to show his hand, but at the same time, it's like somebody asks, "Are you going to go with Emmanuel Mosley out and Dante Johnson out? Are you going to go with Ambry Thomas or Lenore?" He goes, "Well, there are options too, and we're also looking at bringing up somebody from the practice squad." Like, what?
Yeah,
Somebody from the
how bad
practice
are
squad?
they?
How you gonna start somebody from the practice squad that you just signed a few weeks ago over starting somebody who knows the defensive scheme since April when you drafted him? Like, I don't. That kind of stuff, it irritates me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and we've talked about that, that killing their confidence. And then, now too, next time that they come in, now they're worried about, oh, as soon as I make my first mistake, they're going to pull me, and now they're
bingo.
going into that next game with that same fear into their playing in their head and their everything. And it's
Absolutely.
just, I don't know. That's a big thing, like I like Kyle and I've been a huge Kyle fan, since before he was our head coach. Um, but the things that he does, with his players in that aspect and, the whole doghouse thing and, all that, that's something I really can't stand about him.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Yeah, you're right. It's like if they throw in Delmer Lenore because Dante Johnson or Emmanuel can't go, they're going out this. And I think we talked about this before too, just like with the Trey Sermon thing. When Trey Sermon was supposedly not in the was in the doghouse, and then like people were like, what game did he play against? Was it what game did he get hurt in when he hurt his ankle?
Um,
Anyway, I think it was Jacksonville game, wasn't it?
I th-
Whatever. It was either I think it
I,
was a
I
Jackson.
think
I
so.
think it was a Jacksonville game. Yeah, it was a Jacksonville game, and then so I know he was playing, and everybody was saying like, "Oh, I'm an Ohio State fan. And he's playing a little timid. He's not doing what he's supposed to do." And I'm like, "Well, that's because he's probably playing timid. He's probably looking at the situation like, man, if I make any mistake, if I fumble, if I don't hit the right gap, I'm going to be benched." Same thing with Demo and Ambry. I mean, Ambry hasn't really, had the snaps as Delmer Lenore, but Lenore's going to be out there. Let's just say he does have to start because Dante Johnson can't play. He's gonna be out there playing timid and scared to make a mistake instead of playing his game because he's gonna be so nervous. Like, man, if I get beat or if I get a pass interference or if I get illegal hands, whatever the case may be, I might get pulled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Callie's saying, "Can we get Witherspoon back?" And I think that's something that we saw with Witherspoon too, right? We saw, him get pulled, for making mistakes, and his confidence totally get killed, and he was never the same after that.
Yeah.
And like I really thought Witherspoon could be, a corner for us for a few years at least, and he had like all the skill, like he was good, and it's like once he lost that confidence, it's like he could never get back out of his head after that.
Yeah, it's funny too because you look at Dante. You look at Akilla Witherspoon coming out of college. I remember when he was drafted, they interviewed John Lynch, and it was one of those things where they asked him, they were like, "We're kind of surprised you drafted a cornerback like that because he's not a good tackler. He's kind of finesse. John Lynch, when he played, he was physical. He's to
Yeah.
knock your head off. So they were surprised he drafted a corner of his caliber. But it goes down to you got somebody like a Witherspoon, and you're right. I mean, he had the size, he had the speed, he had the technique. It's just, I mean, as far as like the backpedaling skill and stuff like that, but he just, he struggled at times. And then when he lost that confidence, it was just over for him. And I felt like it was the same thing with Dante Pettis. He had the skill set, the route run. He was one of the best route runners coming out of college. Great route runner, had pretty good speed, hands. He made some mistakes, got in Kyle's doghouse. He couldn't get out of it. And unfortunately, I mean, I guess you could say, fortunately, it didn't happen like that with Ayuk. Ayuk was like, nah, man, you and I need to talk. And then he turned it around and got it together. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where, all players can't be disciplined the same. It's like,
Right.
it's kind of like having kids. When you talk to your kids, you discipline your kids, it has to be different. So, yeah, I get you, Mariah. I don't know. It's going to be ugly though, because I don't know what we're gonna do with that position going into this game.
Yeah. Before we jump into that, did you have game balls this week or nobody deserves any?
Yeah, I had some game balls, and I feel like, and so just to let the chat know, me and Mariah and I, we never talk about the game balls. We never pick our players to each other. We just kind of go off of what we feel. But I feel like this time it's going to be exactly the same because I feel like only two players really stood out in this game. My game ball on defense goes to Aziz Al-Shire, and it's not even close. 16 tackles. I mean, he was a maniac out there. And I feel like the weaknesses that, they always say, like, oh, well, he's not a great in coverage as Dre Greenlaw. He's getting there. He's
Yeah.
starting to cover. He's starting to cover pretty good. He's a sideline tackler. And honestly, and this is no knock to Fred. I think Aziz has been our best linebacker this year.
Yep.
He's been all over the place. So yeah, Aziz, he gets my game ball, and and there's like a distant second on that one.
Yep. That's who gets mine as well. And like you said, Fred was out this week, and they didn't even skip a beat out there.
Hmm.
And it's good, to that when Fred, hopefully, he's back this week, to have them both out there back healthy. Um, that's quite the pair that we're gonna have in the middle of the field there.
Yeah,
Um, Offense.
George Kittle.
Yep.
George Kittle. I mean, was it 180 something yards? And two. I mean, the dude's been balling his last like month. He's been killing it. I mean, I think Jacksonville, or yeah, no, not Jacksonville. I think the Vikings game is the only game he hasn't scored a touchdown in the last month. Other than that, he's been getting in that end zone. Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, that tightrope, that he had to go down the sideline and everything. That he carried the team, without Debo and
Yeah.
the run game not being able to do much, and Jimmy's lack there of quarterbacking.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, of course, like you said, there's not too many other players to go with than those two.
No,
Um,
I mean, if anything, maybe on defense, if you want to look at it, DJ Jones. He'd be my next one after Aziz, but yeah, I think those are the only ones that stand out.
yeah, DJ Jones did have a heck of a game, and
Man,
it's so nice, to see him back healthy and being able to be the player that we knew that he could be, but unfortunately injuries have kept him off the field.
hmm
Um, so let's jump into the Bengals. This is going to be quite the matchup. We just talked about, our secondary is very thin. Um, and it's not even like we're having backups back there now. It's like we're having the backup back there now. It's like that's to the point we're at. Um, and the Bengals team has an arsenal of weapons. I think this is probably the most dangerous offense that we've gonna have faced up until this point. How are you feeling about the Bengals?
Not too good, and I'm gonna be real. Like we said, what's up, JV? Like we said, the cornerback position, and and I know I heard that T Higgins, has been hurt and kind of limited in practice, but it sounds like he's gonna play. But I heard he's been hurt for the last couple of weeks, and he still played. And he had a phenomenal game last week, even though they lost. But yeah, I mean, so the Bengals are fourth in the NFL against the run. Debo is questionable. Elijah Mitchell is out.
Yep.
So that means that Jeff Wilson, he's gonna have to man up and do his thing. And I don't know how Kyle's gonna go into this game. I think if we play his game, if we play the game that we've been playing, trying to play keep away basically by tiring out their defense and running the ball, but us not having our best running back out there, it's gonna be tough. And if Debo doesn't play, we really have to get creative. And I'm on the mindset, and honestly, like of course, I want to win this game. I want to still be in playoff contention, but at the same time, if Debo is not 90%, I don't want him in there. I don't want him in there because of simple fact, like I don't want to ruin it by bringing him in too early and saying, well, we really need to have this game, and then he ends up being hurt for the whole season. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and if he does play, I don't want to see him getting no more than 8 snaps in that backfield, because that's just gonna, he can't be punished because they're growing. I feel like hamstrings and groins are one of the trickiest injuries out there. Like, they linger sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel too good. And I know we'll give our score predictions later, but so yeah, them being top 4 against the run, us being thin at quarterback. I mean, even if Joe Burrow is not the healthiest, 'cause I heard he has a finger injury. I mean, Joe Mixon probably a top 5 to 7 back. You know what I mean, in the NFL right
Yeah.
now. Joe Mixon's doing his thing. I mean, you can argue he's top 3 as right now. So you got Joe Mixon. They're tied in. Uzuma. He's really good.
Yeah.
He doesn't get talked about enough. And then you have the quarterback, of course, and then they have a 3 wide receiver set. That's probably, like you said, it's probably going to be the best offense we're going to see from now to the end of the season, and that's including the Rams because they lost Woods and they don't have a running game, so they can attack us at every area of the field. And then going against T Higgins, which probably would be Josh Norman's assignment, just because he's a bigger receiver and stuff like that. You don't want to put a 5'10" Diomedor Lenore on a 6'4" T Higgins. You know what I mean? So Josh Norman will probably be on him, which is okay. It can go either way. But putting Diomedor Lenore on like a Jamar Chase, or Ambry Thomas on a Jamar Chase, or even a Dante Johnson, that's terrifying. And then you have Tyler Boyd who can do his thing. So yeah, I mean, I know they're struggling for some injuries too, but yeah. So I think those are my main concerns going into this game. And then also, if Cincinnati jumps on us early, where they're just scoring, like, it is funny too, because Cincinnati's kind of like us, like, they're game to game. We can look like a top 3 team in the NFL and then a bottom 3 team, depending on what's
Yeah.
going on. So what Cincinnati team are we getting? Are we getting the team that lost to Mike White against the Jets? You know what I mean? The Jets beat them, but or are we going to get the Bengals team that smashed the Baltimore Ravens 41-13?
Right.
If we get that team, it's curtains. Show's over for us. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, our running game, like you said, Mitchell's already ruled out. So we got Jeff Wilson, we have Hasty, and we have a new running back that we just picked up off the street. I don't even know where he came from.
Yeah.
If Debo, I mean, I don't know with Debo. It kind of seems like he's pushing to play, and he said that he had the same injury last season and it kept him out of game. But I don't know. His presser today was quite strange.
Hilarious.
I was like, man, if you could probably just like, if looks could kill, those guys asking those questions would have been out of there.
You know what was funny about that, Miriah? When the guy was like, "Can you give me a percentage of, what's going on?" He was like, "I don't get into all that," and he was like, "So you're saying maybe 85%?" And he gave him this ugly look, like, "Dude, I'm not giving you a number." It was just, it was.
And then
funny.
he just walks away.
He just walks off. Yeah, he didn't even say bye or nothing. Yeah, it was funny.
But and yeah, Joe Burrow, he did something to his pinky last week, dislocated it or something in his throwing hand.
Mhm.
So he is hurt as well. But I don't think that's going to stop him.
Mm-mm.
Joe Burrow, he's not scared to take shots down the field. And the thing with the Bengals, they're not stupid. They know to test these corners. They know that why not? You have corners back there that should be on the couch, and they're either going to give up the play or you're going to get a PI. So why not?
Yeah,
I
and a
mean,
lot
you
of
have a
people don't know
quarterback to
this.
take advantage of it. You have
Yeah,
three
you're right.
great wide receivers, and a tight end, like you said.
Yeah,
I'm worried about this game. I really am.
I am too, Mariah. And people don't understand. Like Zach Taylor, he's a branch off of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. So he runs a similar type offense with Cincinnati. So that's another thing. It's gonna be one of those things where he's just like, yeah, uh, I know this offense. I'm gonna just go out there and I'm gonna sling this thing because I know that they're hurting in that secondary. So yeah, them fools ain't dumb. I
Yeah,
I think our secondary will get tested pretty early, to be honest.
yeah. I'm sure that that's what we're gonna see.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what Jimmy are we planning to show up? We're obviously not going to be able to run the ball 40 times, so we're gonna have to trust Jimmy to throw the ball. So are we looking at another 2 interception game, or it seems the only times that we had to rely on Jimmy so far, he's turned the ball over, and not we can't rely on him this season. So,
Mhm.
the games that he's solid, we're running the ball over 40 times, and that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to
I
be
mean,
able to compete with them and put points up.
yeah, because I mean, I could be wrong, obviously. Like, let's just say that Debo doesn't play. I don't see Kyle running Jeff Wilson close to 40 times, or giving Jeff Wilson 30 carries and then saying, "Oh, yeah, you're right, JV," or saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna give 30 to Jeff Wilson, and I'm gonna give 10 to Jermichael Hasty," whatever the case may be. He's gonna have to mix it up, maybe even give a couple handoffs to Kyle Juszczyk, whatever the case may be. But I just don't. You're right. I just don't see us running the ball 40 times, especially when they're a top 5 ranked run defense.
Yeah. And
So
I mean, we haven't seen much out of Jeff Wilson so far since he's been back.
no,
Um, I think this is going to be Hasty's first or second game back. Did he play last week?
last week he played. Yeah,
So his second game back from injury, and then Brian Hill. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, I mean, and Juice, of course. Um, it's going to be interesting.
yeah. It definitely will. But like we always say, it just depends on Kyle. Like if he comes up with a great game plan, and then we don't have any miscues from the special teams, if the defense plays well. But I mean, on positive note, we're getting back Fred Warner. You know what I'm saying? Fred Warner's coming back, so and hopefully he stays. You know, I don't know. I would say hopefully he's not rusty and he's not trying to rush back, because that's all we need is for him to get hurt again too. Like I feel like I don't know, and I mean obviously I could be wrong. This is just an assumption. I feel like our star players are rushing back because they know we're in a playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I just have to come back. But look, I'm a diehard Niners fan, and I understand. You're trying to get in this playoff hunt, but your future is more important. Debo, don't come back if you're not 85 to 90%. Fred Warner, don't come back. It's like you got to think about your future as well. And I get it. Like, and at the same time, the next man up.
Yeah.
That's why you have a 53-man roster. If you're not healthy, you sit out, and then the next man has to step up. That's why I said, Jeff Wilson, you got to step up. You got to man up and go out there and do your thing, because that's what you get paid for. You get paid to go in there, add some depth, and you might have to start in case you have an injury. So this is your time.
Yep. And I think I'm more worried about that with Debo, because it seems like Fred, he could have played last week if he had to.
Hmm.
Um, it doesn't seem to me like Debo should be coming back, especially because this is an injury that he gets. We've seen him come back last year from injury and re-injure himself, and it's just like, what's the when does it become more of a risk reward? Like, I don't know.
Let's go to
Like you
Callie's
said, we
comment
have
real
other wide
quick. Yeah.
receivers in there.
Yeah. Let's go to Callie's comment. Callie, you know what what the problem is I see with your statement? There's too many ifs in there.
That's
If
exactly what I
Jim
was leaving up. I go, that's a
really,
big if.
if Jimmy doesn't do anything dumb, if the special team doesn't melt down, if we stay disciplined, that's what we worry about. Too many things have to go right for us to win games. That's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, and that's my number, 1, 2, 3 worries right there. Jimmy doing dumb shit, you know, which happens more often than not. Special teams has been crap more often than not. And they're not very disciplined this year from top to bottom. So, and then you're only promising me we'll be fine, Callie. Like you could say if all that stuff happens, we'll be fantastic, but then still we're only going to be fine if all that stuff happens.
Yep, it's a lot of ifs.
Yeah. Um, Speaking, I want to touch a little bit on Jimmy. Uh, it seems that obviously, after his first interception last week, a lot of us were losing our minds, right? And then comes interception 2, and then we're really going crazy. Yet we still have, I'd probably say, if I had to guesstimate, 20% of the 49er faithful that are still diehard Jimmy fans. Um, what do you think about that? Do you think it's more that they are just riding for whoever, is the quarterback of the 49ers? So it's Jimmy right now, they're supporting him, and that once he's gone, Trey's there, they'll support him. Or do you think that these are just Jimmy fans that no matter what, they're Jimmy fans?
What was the percentage that you gave me of fans who are still
20.
riding for him? 20%. Okay. So for the 20% that are riding for him, I'll say there's only about 5% that are just like, he gives us the best chance to win, and I'm going to ride for him now until Trey gets in. I say the other 15% are delusional. And I'm going to be real, they're delusional. For you to, I think what it is, though, no, Mariah, I think, since we lost Kaepernick, our quarterback play has been atrocious until we pretty much got Jimmy, and Jimmy is a solid quarterback. I wouldn't say he's top 15, maybe top 20, but not top 15. You know what he is, but people look at the win-loss record of the 49ers when he plays and when he doesn't play, and I think that clouds their judgment. Well, Jimmy is 20 something and something. I don't know the numbers on top of my head. Let's just say he's 29 and 16 or whatever.
They
Jimmy's
know.
29, huh? Oh,
They
they know
know.
for sure. Oh, they have it written down that he's 29 and 16. Look at our record without him. Yeah, look at our quarterbacks without him. Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. So yeah, so I think that clouds their judgment a bit, and I feel like they credit Jimmy too much for the wins. And I think, and honestly, like, there's fans and then there's diehards. I feel like, the diehards get more in tune with the team and they understand the nuances of football. They understand, like the X's and O's and stuff like that, which, what's like the average fan will just be like, oh, every time Jimmy plays, he wins, or Jimmy took us to the Super Bowl. I think that's just what they see. But all of us know, you got you and I on this podcast, 49er Media. You got Peachy, I saw on here, Callie, JV. We all understands the X's and O's. And it's funny how the fans who understand the X's and O's of football all are against Jimmy being the quarterback. Because we understand that when Kyle calls a game, do you notice that every time you look at the all 22 or you look at film, every time there's somebody open, it's always outside the numbers.
And it's 95% Ayuk.
Yeah, outside the numbers, and Jimmy ain't throwing that way. Sorry.
Yep.
So that's what happens with it. So I think a lot of it is just that, like, they just don't understand, like, like, I don't know. I think they're worried because they feel like if we lose Jimmy, that, our team is going to be crap again. But I just don't like that most of them don't have an open mind. Like if I, of course, I'm a 49er fan, of course, but I feel like I'm more of a Lance supporter because I feel like he can do what Jimmy does. Because if we, I'm gonna be real here. If we have a third overall pick that can't execute a simplified offense to hand the ball off 40 times or hand the ball 40 times to throw the ball 20, then we have an issue. for you to think that Trey Lance can't do that is ridiculous to me. People can think what they want. He's not ready, but we talked about this before. For Trey having his first start against the best team in football in their home, okay, he had 1 3 and out. 1 3 and out for the whole game that this kid had, who supposedly isn't ready. That's impressive. That's the most impressive stat of all he's ever done to me. For you to start your first game in a hostile environment against the best team in football that had one loss at the time, or maybe I don't think they had any. I don't know. I don't remember. But I think they're undefeated. We go in there to hold them. For us to hold them to 17 points. They say, well, the defense played well. It's because of Trey, because there was only 1 3 and out. He kept the defense rested. So I don't want to hear this Trey's not ready nonsense. So yeah, I think that's just what it comes down to. But what I don't like, and I'll give it to you here, what I don't like is the people who, I say 15% of the people who root for Jimmy don't support Trey. And that bugs me. Like, he's our future, whether you like it or not. So you best get on board.
Yeah, and that's the thing that bothers me the most is that, you're fine, supporting Jimmy and, all that. He could be your favorite quarterback in the world, whatever. But like, why are you putting down Trey and talking bad about him and, like making it personal towards the guy that's going to be the quarterback of your team? Like, you're going to have to root for him or stop rooting for your team sooner or later, So that's the part where it's crazy to me. But,
Yeah.
Also on the other side of, there's some fans of the 49ers, I think, that hate Jimmy. Like, they put more time into hating Jimmy than they do rooting for the 49ers at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
And like, it's just all about that now, and they take it personal towards him. And I've already seen his jerseys getting burned and stuff like that. And I'm not a fan of that. That's not my
Same.
thing whatsoever. If you don't want to keep the jerseys, there's people out there that
Homeless.
need a shirt on their back.
Totally
So
agree with that. I don't care how bad the player is. There's people out there who are sleeping in the cold, who would love to have like something warm to sleep in or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's childish, to be honest.
yeah, so I mean, there's definitely extremes on both ends of it. Um, but I think for the most part, a big portion of us just are sick of being mediocre. It's like we come from this historic franchise with 5 rings and all this and haven't done shit for basically my entire life. It's like that's pretty sad. It's like we're just holding on to what we used to be, and now we're just, oh, okay, like you said, a lot of fans like Jimmy because we hadn't had good quarterback play. So exactly, they're hanging on to a mediocre quarterback with mediocre quarterback play because that's the best that we've had in so long. And we shouldn't have to settle for freaking mediocre quarterback play
Yeah.
just because we've had shit prior to that,
Hmm. Yeah. You know it's bad when your quarterback throws for 180 yards, less than 20 passes, and 2 touchdowns, and then they call it a great game. Oh, he had a great game. He
Yeah.
did. 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. When out of the 180 yards, like 100 of it was because of yak from Debo or Kittle. Like, stop it,
And
stop
Trey
it.
can't put up those numbers plus 50, 60, 100 rushing yards on top of it. Like, that's what I
Exactly.
don't understand. Like, we
Yeah,
saw Trey put up those numbers.
yeah. And just like what Pinora said, and it's not like Trey had the best game plan. They put him in there with an atrocious game plan. He goes in there and he still does his thing. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like, man, I mean, this kid had his helmet taken off and was still fighting for yards. That earned my respect right there of anything. So yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, I understand Kyle, but I think what it is too when it comes to Kyle, everybody, they dog on him like, oh, we should have put it. I think most of the chatter about putting Trey in has stopped a little bit. I mean, of course, it still goes on, but I think most of it is when we were like 3-5. Like
Yeah.
after we lost that Colts game, that's when the chatter started. Oh, let's just put him in because I think everybody thought we were dead in the water. So yeah, I think that's what it comes down to it. And I think what the stuff with the Jimmy fans, I think the most I think the most stuff comes from Jimmy Jam. The hate, well, I guess not the hate, the criticism that comes from Jimmy fan. The people who don't like Jimmy, I guess you should say, is because you look at the situation. There has been no improvement. Like since it's like okay, I get it. There's every quarterback's gonna throw an interception, but at the same time, it's like why don't you learn from that? How many times are you going to throw to a linebacker staring you right in the face? Like that
Yeah.
stuff should be cleaned up from an 8-year vet, and it's not. So I think that's where people like you and I and Peachy and stuff like that are just tired of it because we're just like, man, like we're tired of seeing this mediocre quarterback who can't execute Kyle's full playbook, and I kind of agree, JV. I kind of go into spaces and I listen to just because sometimes it's comical. I go in there for a good laugh, but at the same time, yeah, it's just it gets to the point where fans are disrespecting each other, calling each other names, and it shouldn't have to be like that. Like if somebody wants to support Jimmy and think like he's better than Trey, I have to respect that. You know what I mean? I can tell you that you're wrong until I'm
Mhm.
blue in the face, but you don't have to agree with me. So yeah, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, we have people, in there trying to, throw me your address and we're gonna meet and all this shit. And it's like you would think that they're fans of two
Oh,
rival teams. You would think
oh
it's like
man,
Seahawk fans in there fighting with us
throw
or
me an
something, not our own
address.
people, like it's so sad. And I know exactly who JV is talking about,
I
but
do too. I think, matter of
we'll
fact,
just
you and I were on the space that day when they were talking about meet me your address, take the apron off, and go make me a sandwich, and it was just ridiculous.
bake me a cake and
Oh man,
people can't even be chefs these days. They have to be baking cakes and shit.
Tanya
Like, oh
laughing
my
too.
god.
Oh
Yeah, those
man.
faces are something else. Um, Score prediction.
Oh man. Okay. Score prediction. Well, first and foremost, I got us losing again. I'm gonna be real, and this is why. And like I said, me and Mariah come with realistic takes.
Me and Mariah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do like 49er Minded did and start singing "Oh Dirty Bastard," but more power to you, brother. I respect that. So this is why I'm picking against us. One, we don't know the status of Debo. Two, Elijah Mitchell being hurt. Elijah Mitchell being hurt. And I just don't. And so this is a situation with us. The Bengals are fighting for a playoff spot just like we are. They're in the same predicament. So they're going to go in there after having an embarrassing loss in their hometown because they played at Cincinnati last week, too. The Chargers
Yep.
came in there and manhandled them. I don't think that's likely it happens twice because, like we said, they're inconsistent. One week they're atrocious, and one week they're great. And I was like, man, how they beat Baltimore 41-13? I'm expecting that Cincinnati just because of how our defense is starting to come together as far as the injuries. So, yeah, I think I think we lose. I think Cincinnati's gonna go up early on us, like probably like 10-0, and it's gonna force us to throw the football. Even though their corners and stuff, their linebackers aren't as good, but still, Jesse Bates is pretty good, and I'm sure he's gonna be their spy. So my score prediction, I'm going Bengals 28, 49ers 20.
All right. I mean, yeah, you pretty much laid it out perfectly there. Um, I'm going for this reason because I think we're gonna have to throw a lot. Um, and I'm not expecting us to throw a lot very well. So I'm gonna go 31-13 Bengals.
Ooh, yeah, was getting
Um,
thrashed, huh?
yeah. And like I said, I don't know who on defense, like Bosa, yeah, like a couple people on the line are doing okay, but it's like we can't expect them and then the linebackers to just cover everything, it's like um I don't know. I don't know how they're going to cover those wide receivers and I um I mean, I don't think people are understanding how good Joe Burrow is.
Hmm.
And we're damn lucky that his finger is broken or dislocated or whatever the heck it is because he is an excellent quarterback.
He really is.
And we don't have an excellent quarterback
Yeah,
on the field. So
And
on
two,
the
like I
bench,
just
but
yeah, on the bench, yeah. Yeah, and that's just and I think the main thing about us having us losing is because Cincinnati just got beat last week. I just don't see them crapping the bed 2 weeks in a row at home. I just don't see it. I just I don't because like I said, they're fighting for it too. Because Baltimore is number one in that division right now, even though they beat them. But the Baltimore Ravens have a better record. But I want to say that the I think the Bengals are like in the 6 or 7 seed as well. So they're fighting for the same things that we are. And when you have
yeah,
two teams that are in there fighting, it's usually a good game. I mean, just like how our game went against the Vikings. Two teams fighting for the same thing. It gets a little chippy, gets kind of scrappy, stuff like that. So yeah, that's the only reason why I have us losing. I mean, yeah, have us losing the game. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna say 30-20, but I think 28-20 is a little bit more realistic. So. And
yeah, let's not
Cali, it
feel
doesn't
like
make
the
us any.
team's
And
there with
Cali,
this
it doesn't
ifs.
make us any less faithful. Me and Mariah love our team, but I just don't see how. I don't know. It
This
ain't
exactly,
looking good.
JV. If he's has no pinky, he's still going to be better than Jimmy G, and has more weapons. Um, yeah, I I just
Yeah. Well, the thing that hurts us too, and people, going back to the Seahawks game, they were like, well, the Seahawks were like, I don't know exactly the number, but they were like ranked in the 20s and stopping the run, and they stopped our run. So the fact that we're going against the fourth ranked team against a run in Cincinnati in their home just doesn't look good for us because that's our bread and butter. I just feel like, um, and Cali, just to let you understand, like I think the only reason why too is because the way that they got yeah, I agree. We just got beat down as well. But I think the only thing is too, I think they're going to take advantage of our secondary, and I just think it's going to come to a point where we're going to have to be playing from behind. Like I hope we win the coin toss and we get the ball, and Kyle starts off like he did against that Jacksonville game, like us, just running the ball and holding the ball for 12, 13 minutes for the quarter. But
right.
I just don't. I mean, but this team ain't Jacksonville. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's the only reason why. I just feel like, Joe Burrow's going to be like, oh, Josh Norman, he leads the league in pass interference calls. And then, their best starting corner that's solid is out. It's either Dante Johnson or a rookie. We're going to get tested early. So,
Yeah, that's the biggest hurt. I mean, well, there's two. Mitchell, of course, it's gonna hurt
yeah.
anytime he's out. But having no E-man back there in that
Yeah.
corner spot,
Well, you
that's
remember too. You remember too, Mariah, when we played the Cardinals the second time, we said the same thing. No Tart, no Jimmy Ward. Remember? And we were like the Arizona's team's gonna beat us. You guys are crazy. Colt McCoy is back there. I don't
yeah,
care. I don't care if it's Colt McCoy.
yeah.
I don't care if it's Colt McCoy. We were missing Tart and Ward. We're not winning this game. And what happened? We lost. So it's just more of a realistic take. So yeah, that's the reason why me and Mariah give the predictions that we do.
I mean, and trust me, I hope we do go in there and beat them. It's not like I want us to go in there and lose,
Yeah,
just because that's what I'm predicting. That's what I feel is gonna happen. That's not what I want. Let's
exactly.
not get it twisted here. Um,
Exactly.
but I can't honestly look at you people in the face and say that I believe we're gonna go in there and kick their ass. So I don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, if you want me to look at you and lie to you, we could probably make that happen, but that ain't me. So
That's all I was saying. I saw a saying on Twitter today. I'd rather be I'd rather be slapped with a lie. No, I'd rather be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie.
exactly.
So
Yep. Um, I think that I don't have much else
okay.
besides that
You know
I
what I
need
want to I
to.
want to I want to bring up real quick, and I'm gonna. This is for the chat as well. Oh, before we end this, I'm going to do my weekly thing. So, I had told everybody the last few shows that because after we lost against the Colts, I was adamant that we're not making the playoffs, and now we're in a playoff push. So if we make the playoffs, I told people in the chat that I'm gonna pick one of our subscribers. You have to be subscribing to our channel, one of our subscribers, and then whoever name I pick out to win, I will DM you, and then I will ask you what hat and what T-shirt that you want off of Fanatics, and then you can just DM me your address, and I'll send you one because I said we weren't going to, and it looks like we might. So yeah, I would love to do that for one of our subscribers, just because you guys are showing us the support and stuff like that. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I do have to send somebody a hat and shirt, and if you don't like hats, if you're not a hat person, you can go ahead and get two shirts or whatever the case may be, two different colors or whatever. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do for one of our subscribers if we make the playoffs. So as far as this question I want to ask, and I want to ask the chat too, are you guys starting to be a little concerned about the uses of Elijah Mitchell? Because if you look at this season so far, he's had a rib injury, a concussion, a finger injury, and now he has a knee injury on top of this concussion. So he has four injuries he's had this year, which, good thing he hasn't missed too much time. But, I feel like that's where it starts. I feel like, so do you guys think, in the chat, and you too, Miriah, do you think, are you worried about that with the Elijah Mitchell, even though it's nothing major, but that's how these nagging injuries turn into major injuries? So like, going forward, do you think the usage of him should be a little less? Like, do you think we should use all of our running backs, not equally? Obviously, Elijah get the bulk of the carries, but and the reason why I'm asking this is because, like, we're talking about Atlanta, and when Kyle had Devontae Freeman, and when he had Tevin Coleman, they were never hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were never hurt. So maybe it's a situation where Kyle's like, well, I don't want to get my running backs hurt so much. I need a quarterback who can air it out a little bit to take pressure off my running game. So yeah, what do you think, Miriah?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier, actually, that and I heard somebody else discussing it. I forget who it was the other day, and brought up that same point, that, is that why our running backs are getting hurt so much? Because, Shanahan isn't sticking to the committee that he usually does, and is it his system that's causing it? Like, is it system related that we're losing running backs at such a high pace?
High
It
clip,
seems like,
yeah.
um, if it were up to me, I definitely would want to cut his carries down a little. He's not that big bruising back that we can expect to take all these carries and not get banged up, and we've clearly seen that this season.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because it's not like it's just this season. Like I said, he's had the nagging injury. I think it started off with the ribs and stuff. But if you just look at us the last few years, none of our running backs can stay healthy. None of them. I mean, Moster's been
Yeah.
hurt the last few years. Ever since we went to the Super Bowl, he's been hurt. Jeff Wilson got hurt. I mean, we just lost Trey Sermon to an ankle. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, okay, cool. I was saying the chat stuff. Yeah, I think we just. I mean, like I said, I know they're not big. That's not like he's torn anything, but it's starting to worry me a bit about the usage because, I mean, like I said, it went from ribs to finger. I mean, the concussion obviously wasn't his fault. He got elbow, but then too, when I looked at the injury report today, it just didn't say concussion. It was like Elijah Mitchell is out with a concussion and a knee injury. I'm like, a
Yep.
knee injury. I'm like, man, so that's worrisome a little bit.
Yeah, and I forgot to even touch on his concussion. That was kind of weird, right? Because he went out during the game with a concussion, was evaluated. They let him come back into the game. And then the next day, Kyle says he comes in with a headache and he's put back onto the concussion protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and we've seen this happen with teams against us. I want to say Green Bay,
Packers, yeah, with Adams. Yeah,
right?
he got a
And
concussion when
it's like,
Ward hit
are
him.
they
Yeah.
letting these players come back too early? Like, is this process not being done thorough enough on the sidelines? Like, it leads me to start to worry, like, especially with, it coming out with all these players, afterwards with these brain injuries after they retire and all these different things. And it's like, I know they're doing more for those type of things, but it just seems kind of strange that we're having so many players lately that come back to the game and then end up being in concussion protocol. I'm not saying just on our team. I'm saying NFL wide, of course.
Sure. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It's just, I
Yeah.
don't know, something seems strange with that.
Yeah. Well, so it seems like everybody in the chat is pretty much in agreement with us. I think Mitchell, less than 25 carries, I think. You know what I mean? But, it's just, yeah, I think like I said, it's just how it starts. It starts with the nagging stuff and then it turns into major. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah. Well, cool. Hey, chat. I just want to say I love you guys, man. I say some of the same names that rock with us every week. I know we're a small channel right now, but we appreciate that. I mean, we're just getting started. Hopefully, me and my partner in crime here can be on this for a while. And it's kind of awesome because we both live in Vegas, so we might even do like a podcast where we're in the same room together, and just so we can talk. So I appreciate you guys to the fullest. Much love to you guys.
Yeah, you guys have been great. I thank you guys all the time, and I will continue to thank you even when we're rich and famous, and a bigger channel than Rombo and all them. Um,
I'm not eating no cat food.
no, we don't lose bets with our cats on this channel, um, but no, for real, you guys have been great, and the support, like I said, before I even started the channel and thought about starting the channel, has been amazing from everybody. And obviously we couldn't do it without you
Probably
guys.
no.
So I thank you guys for hanging with me and my ugly voice this week and our day late show and all that. Hopefully we'll be back next week at our regular scheduled time.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good week. We'll see how the Bengals go. Let's just hope that we can get through the game healthy on both sides and
Absolutely.
don't have
And
any
let's
more injuries.
and let's just hope all of Callie's ifs come true.
Yep. If
I love you,
Callie's ifs
Callie.
come true, we're gonna be drinking some Snoop Dogg with our pinkies up. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, fam.